Welcome everyone to Masterclass Part 2. In Part 1, we discussed the importance of the front hand punch and its applications, its wide applications in combat sport, particularly sport karate, which is the type of style that I trained under. And because there's such a wide range of usage for the front hand, that Masterclass was quite extensive in just covering that one strike. And so for this class, we're going to focus on the remaining three punches, which is the backhand punch, the hook, and the uppercut. Because while they're all important in their own use cases, uh, collectively, them three are the science and physics behind them, and with regards to applying it to combat sport, it's probably equal in value. There's so much that you have to know and account for, and so many forces and strategies operating initially off of your front hand, that all the encompassing knowledge in that single strike is equal to a backhand punch, hook, and uppercut. So this is why for this class, we'll combine all those three together, as there's less to say about them overall. So as many of you may or may not know, a hook is a punch that is executed by rotating on a horizontal axis a punch that comes from the side, at the left or right side. And when you execute this punch, you're essentially traveling. You're traveling diagonally from here and beginning the punch. You don't want to wind your punch over here, or come over here. Like, you don't want to wind it too much. You want to maintain a tight range with your hook, and you want to ensure that your elbow is facing the opposite side of where your knuckles are facing. So when you're punching and you're coming in for the hook, coming in here, you're coming in for the hook, your elbow's facing that way and your knuckles are facing this way. And similarly, like when you jab, punch, hook, when you do the hook, especially since it's the front hand, in the case of left fighting or right fighting stance, or even if it was in neutral, when it's in neutral, you still go up on your toes. So when you hook, you're going up on your toes. You're starting from here. You're starting to go up on your toes and create momentum, the rotational momentum towards the side. And you're kind of like using your upper body, kind of like put your back into it. So from here you punch. You maintain a tight punch. Boom. So as you come down. As you start moving, once you get here, you start moving inward with the punch. My shoulder's still not in good shape, so I'll demonstrate it with the left hand in a second. So you come in here and you're hitting. Coming here, you're maintaining it tight. You're hitting here, fist that way, elbow this way. The toes are coming up. Boom. Same thing here. You're coming here, elbow out, fist this way. The idea is that the head, you always think about the head in the center, because even if a person weaves and weaves their body, like anywhere where they go back, they go right, they weave this way, they weave that way, they always have to pass through a neutral position. So you always envision, mostly when you throw your punches, at some target in the middle of four quadrants, and so that you improve your ability to be able to connect, especially when you're changing the punches up. Well, we'll get to that in a second. So from here, you notice how my arm comes down slightly. and my legs come up, and then you come down, and when you bring those toes up, you begin that hook. And it's kind of like you're rotating your body a little bit, like rotating your pelvis a little. So slowly, boom, and you're going this way, boom. So here it's like jab, punch, hook, hook, hook. You don't want to go too far. That's why I'm kind of like, it looks kind of funny when I'm just like stopping it short. Because the idea of a hook and an uppercut in particular, so we have 4 punches. Your straight punches traverse to a z-axis. So x-axis, left to right. Y-axis, up and down. Z-axis goes in depth, so it goes beyond 3rd dimension. So your punches have range, and they can go back in case somebody like weaves to the side, or kind of like backs up a little as you're coming in with your punches. Particularly if you come in my style, which we'll punch with one arm, or we'll switch. We're stepping in as we're switching to punch with the other arm, which is very different than the boxing. How like it's like they come in one and one, one and one. They move one leg, and then the other leg trails along, as opposed to taking different steps. When you're throwing your punches, which is what I do, the way I fight. The way I used to fight. So these punches have more range, and they traverse, further. The hooks and the uppercuts, you want to force your enemy into a position so that you can get them with the other hit. So even if they're weaving, and they have to go to the center point, you're throwing a hook, right? So you throw a hook, they weave this way, right? You throw a hook, they weave this way. They could weave back, but when they weave back and their body undergoes that motion, they're getting caught with an uppercut, right? So over here, they could weave here, from here, they could weave here, they can move back, depending, like boxers have very limited movement, but depending what style they are and how good the defensive skills are, they may actually displace the position a little as they move. But essentially, you're throwing a hook, horizontal axis, they're forced to weave in a way. But remember, every time you weave, because you need to maintain your center of gravity so that you can generate the speed to not get hit while you're weaving, you're always going to pass through that focal center point. And so when they do that, if they attempt to pass the center point again, you catch them with the uppercut. So I am going to always, it doesn't matter who I'm fighting, I am always going to start with a side kick. That is by far the most efficient, most effective attack to engage combat with. Going to start with a side kick. And like I said before, depending on 3 scenarios, whether I knock you down, I stun you, or I hit you in a way that I can see you're off balance. I'll see if I threw your center of balance off. And as soon as that comes in, I blitz in with my hands. I'm going to jab, punch, hook, uppercut, and fade away again. So I'm going to come in, boom, boom, boom. I'm going to throw like that combo real fast. Ta, 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 ta. Like, I'm going to come in, jab, punch, hook, uppercut. If I see that you are absorbing the hits or blocking them, and that you have regained your balance and are in position to counter, I'm going to fade away with a jab and kick. So I'm going to, as soon as this happens, I'm going to throw a jab and fade away and kick, and begin using my legs again to maintain the distance onto the point where I'll maintain priority, onto the point where I see that you've completely lost priority, you cannot counter, and then I will follow up with the hands again. As long as I see that you're stunned or injured, I am always going to use my hands to finish you off. The kicks, while you could use kicks, the kicks are like the jab in boxing. In my style, the side kick is that radar. A powerful radar, but a radar nonetheless. And I will always use a kick until those scenarios present themselves, those conditions present themselves, at which I will use my hands. The reason why I say to keep your punches, your hook and your uppercuts tight, like boom, boom. Like you see how I shoot them, how like I said, like it looks like I'm just doing this. It's like boom, 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 boom. Because one, you want to receive the maximum acceleration, which will allow you to receive maximum power on your hits. And you want to be able to change the axes quickly in your enemy so that your enemy or your opponent, not an enemy, your opponent could be an enemy, so that your opponent is constantly playing a guessing game. They don't know, there's so many varieties of what you can do that they don't know exactly what you're going to do. And so because of that, your hook, uppercut, punch, punch, uppercut, punch, hook, punch, punch, uppercut, punch, punch, hook, hook, uppercut, punch, hook, uppercut. You're constantly changing your punches around and you're reacting to what your enemy is doing. So as you're doing this, you're paying attention to where your enemy's weaving, your opponent, whether he's using rotational weaves or like when people just go back and like stay like this, like kind of like boxers, like do this, depending on what they're doing, you're doing a certain movement. And of course, you always have to assume that they're going to grapple you. And because you have to assume that grapple is why I say to maintain your punches tight. You come in, boom, 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 tight. Because as soon as they begin to try to grab, punch, uppercut, boom, boom, uppercut, boom, boom, like you know, you move as you're backing up. Basically, hook, 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 hook. That's why you see me hitting the bag, and I just keep it short. Boom, 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 boom. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm assuming there's a bag there, and I cannot go beyond that point. But essentially, you're hooking, boom, you're hooking. You see how I always move my legs? Boom, 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 and then you just get used to doing this movement. The backhand punch, you're rotating this leg. So this leg is perpendicular to your right leg, so to speak. Not exactly, but just to simplify it. Your back leg, whether it's on the other side or this side, rotates forward. So now you're facing forward. You're on your toes. Your heels are up. And when you rotate, you release that punch. Remember, I said always you're snapping. So you're turning slowly here and you're snapping. Boom. So the punch comes on and snaps. Boom. You can put your back into it. And it is up to you to determine whether you should put more power than not on the punch or simply shift to a different punch. Uh, if you stun the person with the front hand, then you could turn around, boom, and like put the whole, back behind that punch. Turn around, boom, and just fully stretch it out and apply the full maximum force. But you only want to do that if the person's already stunned and you know that they're in trouble. Otherwise, you want to just turn around, pop, snap, turn around, snap it, and come back. Turn around, snap it, come back. Turn around, snap it, come back. Turn around, snap it, come back. Turn around slowly, snap it, come back. Same thing with this side. You always move forward. So you come in, boom. Come in, boom. Come in, boom. Go up on your toes. Your heel goes up. You're facing this way. You turn around and snap. So I'm turning here. I'm never moving my arm from position. My elbow's always protecting my body. My fist always protecting my face. And the only thing that happens when I rotate is that I do the snapping action. Boom. I snap that punch out. Boom. And this is something that you have to train because it's awkward and you will have like no real speed until you train. And eventually after a while, like if you're young and athletic and you know how to do this properly, you'll punch so fast that your punches will look like a blur. So turn around, punch. Slowly turn around, punch. Turn around, punch. It looks like pretty simple. And it's kind of is if you can get your brain just to focus on the simplicity of like turning around and snapping, boom. Your mind will create neural pathways and it'll click, after a while of doing it, and you'll know how to both add speed and power to it. I need water. Uppercut. let's see, this is a backhand. The same thing with the uppercut. Anytime, all right, so the way it works is that anytime you throw a punch that is from the front leg, your leg always comes up like this. Kind of like if you're messing around with someone behind them and you're putting your knee under behind them to like kind of like make them buckle the leg. That's essentially what you're doing when you're punching. Anytime you're punching, like with any like front hand. Anytime you're punching with any back front arm. Anytime you're punching with the back arm, you're simply rotating. You're simply rotating. Your knee, you rotate from a perpendicular position to your front, foot, or your toes is facing that way. Perpendicular, you're facing this way. You rotate, and now both are facing this way, because you rotate there to allow the physiology to release the punch without anything preventing the movement. And at the same time, you're generating that acceleration. You generate acceleration, and you're getting the rotational momentum to boom, like Let me do it slowly. So from here, you turn around, boom. So here, boom. From here, boom. You always want to stop, like you don't want to go too high, because you gotta keep these punches tight. The reason you keep them tight is so that you can quickly change the directions. And even if someone has good defenses, you can still break down the defenses by changing the constant axis from which you're approaching them with your punches. And also because you don't want to overextend your punches in case it's a grappler. So you want to come in, ta 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 ta, like you execute these punches. They can't simply just grab you while you're offloading on them. So they're typically going to try to block, but they won't be able to block all the punches because you're changing constantly direction. And they'll try to block what they can. And then when they feel like you're done with the combo, they'll try to grab you. So for that reason, you have to keep all your punches tight, because as soon as you finish your punch and they try to grab, you begin, you begin to fade away while attacking. You always want to be the aggressor, unless you have a smaller body than other people, which means they have to fight more defensively and as a counter fighter. But for all intents and purposes, you always want to be the aggressor. The aggressor always has if you always have priority, you have the advantage. It doesn't matter if it's in real life or if it's in a game like Street Fighter, Elden Ring. I haven't been playing too many fighting games lately, but basically, Tekken, whatever it is, any type of game where there's some sort of combat between you and some other individual, you always want to be the aggressor, because the aggressor always has the advantage. If you have priority, the other person is constantly in the defensive. They're trying to take no damage. They're getting exhausted trying to defend, especially when someone is an inefficient striker. They waste more stamina than the person defending. However, when you are an efficient striker, you waste less stamina than the person defending, because the person defending will not be able to defend unless they utilize all their stamina, all their speed to displace the body as fast as possible before they get wrecked. And so, as long as you're the aggressor and you're an efficient aggressor, my movements waste very little energy because I am very direct, and I maintain the range of motions very short. And of course, always opening with the kicks, follow up with the hands. And when you begin fading away, you throw that punch and he hop back and a kick. Tomorrow I'll upload a video that explains that dynamic while I'm hitting the big bag, the angular defensive offensive type of maneuvering. So you always attack. And you're always attacking. Whether you're the aggressor or you're defending, you have to always attack. You do not allow anyone free reign to take priority over you. Because even when they attack, if you're an active defender, you are going to take priority away from them. They may wrestle priority away from you for a very short period of time, and you'll quickly take that priority away. And as long as you have priority, the chances that you winning the fight are substantially greater than your opponents. And with the masterclasses, I can, slowly pass on this knowledge that has been lost. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. I'm pretty sure maybe one person will watch this if I get lucky for 12 seconds. Anyway, if you want to continue this journey, you want to continue my 50-50 karate comeback journey or these master classes, please like and subscribe. All right, catch you guys on the next one.